that is heavier than it looks. So this is my brand new kiln-dried beech slab. I'm very, very, very happy with it. As you can see, it's got an absolutely beautiful grain throughout. A few nice little bits of character, knots and bits like that. It's got a lot of bark on it that I need to knock off. Basically, this is going to be my new worktop in the van. It needs a lot of work to get it to that standard. It needs cutting down and it needs treating, but that's what I'm going to be doing today. Exciting stuff. So, I don't know if you can see the line, they sort of blend in with the grain, but we are very much marked in and squared off all the way along the slab, if you can see that. So there you can sort of see already the skeleton of a worktop in here, but the next step is to cut this line, and then that line, so the rest is squared off, and I'm going to cut it down here and keep all of this. I'm going to knock the bark off, and then we can get sanding. That. What I'm going to do now is give it a rough sand on the edges and knock all the bark off the live edge. Give it a rough sand on top, and then before I sand it properly, I'm going to come and fill all of the gaps with epoxy. So I've given it a really rough sand, and again, I'm really happy with how it's shaping up. So I'm going to come back and do the rest of the sanding tomorrow. But what I'm going to do first is epoxy all of the little knots and holes and cracks in this slab of wood. And to do that, I'm using these. They look a bit weird, they feel a bit like plasticine, but they are basically just epoxy. Instead of mixing the epoxy and the hardener together as a liquid and then pouring it in, this is the hardener and this is the epoxy. At the back it does say to basically rip off equal parts of the hardener and the epoxy and then sort of roll it together and knead it until it's one paste, goo, plasticine-y thing, dough ball that's one colour and no streaks and stuff like that. So I'm going to do that really quickly. I'll speed it up and then I'll get filling. There we go, I've been busy filling. As you can see, it's a bit of a mess, but it's going to be sanded down anyway, so it will just be a nice flat finish on all of those knots and cracks and stuff that I've been filled in with the epoxy. So it's getting dark, so I'm going to pack up and I'll see you in a few seconds tomorrow. And we're back. Hello. So the epoxy has now hardened overnight. It's looking really good, especially on these bigger bits. I was a bit worried that it would still be a bit soft, but it's supposed to take 2 to 3 hours, and I left it overnight, so it's all good. I don't know if you can see it. I've also started marking out the cutout for the sink just here. So the first thing I'm going to do is take the jigsaw to that, get that cut out, get it sanded, and then we can start sanding the entire thing and get it looking really, really nice. So if you live in England, a general rule of thumb is that if they says it's going to rain, it will rain. And if they said it's not going to rain, it will rain. If you've watched my videos before, you'll be used to hiding in the kitchen from the rain, but I'd rather get it done properly rather than it have holes and cracks in it and obviously be all wet. So what are you going to do? Right, as you might be able to hear, it's still hammering down with rain, but I've managed to get myself a little gazebo to work under. Thank you very much to Michelle and Louis for lending me this, if you're watching. So it's the right shape, and now I just need to get on with sanding it down and working through the grits. I'm going to go with 80 and then 120 and then 240 to get it to that perfect sort of shiny finish, and then I'm going to start oiling it. So hopefully I'm going to be done today. Let's go. Ta-da. Final one, let's go. Just flip this over so I can sound the very worst of it off. It's not going to get seen, so I'm not going to go too heavy on it, but feeling the difference between what the finished article that's just about to be oiled and the underside that hasn't been touched is amazing. You sort of lose track of how smooth it actually is unless you compare it to what it started out as. Right, so I flipped it back over. This is the side that we're going to be putting the most treatment on, because obviously this is the side that's going to be up. I will go back and oil the underneath as well. Now I'm going to focus on this. I've got Ronsteel worktop oil. There are obviously lots of different ways of sealing in a worktop like this. I wanted to go with something oil based because it obviously helps with waterproofing. I'm going to be putting 6 layers on the top, 6 layers on the sides, and 8 layers on the edges, because obviously there I've left them a little bit more live. And I'll be waiting a couple of hours between coats to make sure it all soaks in. So I'm going to be doing this over a couple of days, but obviously I'll speed it up for you guys. Let's get on with it. And there she is, it's in. I can't tell you how happy I am with it. I think we've got a lot of sort of contemporary modern styling going on in the van, and this just adds like a real natural, handmade, almost antique-y feel. I think it looks awesome. It's it's an absolute centerpiece. And it's usable as well, it's very sturdy, fits the sink in really nicely. So sort of as you can see around me, the van has really come together now. So check out some of the other videos of earlier in the process if you haven't already. And also watch out for the complete van tour, which will be out very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you next time.